In England, July 4th, 1776, seemed to be just an ordinary day. But if King George III had put an ear to the ground, he surely would have heard the earth trembling. Because something happened on that July day that was going to change the Americas and England and eventually the whole world. It took place in England's American colonies, but it was several weeks before a ship brought the news to King George III, and then he didn't understand it. This book is about that momentous day and how it came about. To understand that, we need to go back in time, and we need to put ourselves in England's American colonies. Let's climb into a time and space capsule. Come along. We'll cruise over the North American continent. It is early in the 18th century, and this land is as much as it has been since the times beyond remembering. So dense are the trees and grasses over most of the continent that it is hard to see anything else, except for the birds that fill the sky in wide ribbon-like formations that are miles and miles long. But we can look right through the trees by turning on the capsule's X-ray beam. Do you see those huge bears? Those agile mountain cats? The hard-working beavers? And the big-jawed alligators? This land is an animal playground. Look closely and you'll notice tiny clearings. They are people places. Men, women, and children are clustered in small spaces across the land. Most of the people we see are Native Americans. Their ancestors have lived here for thousands of years. They have been fortunate, these people who are now being called Indians. They have had the luxury of much land and few people. They have lived in a kind of natural paradise. That will change. It will be the newcomers who cause that change. Do you see them? A few have made homes in places called California and New Mexico and Texas. They have come from Mexico and Spain and have brought horses and other domesticated animals. But it is the people who are settling a narrow band of land along the Atlantic coast who will cause most of the great changes that are coming. Most of these East Coast newcomers are from England or from Africa. They have accomplished much in the century since the first of them climbed from their small wooden ships at Jamestown and Plymouth. They have cleared land and planted crops and built towns. They are creating English-speaking colonies where life is freer than it is in the Old World. But not for the Africans. For them, there is no freedom at all. For them, there is slavery. Slavery exists around much of the world in this 18th century of ours. Most people say, there has always been slavery and there always will be slavery. Let's not worry about it. These people don't realize it, but they will change their ideas. That July day in 1776 will help cause a huge change in people's minds. 200 years from now, people will be shocked at the very idea of slavery. In order to understand what is about to happen, we are going still farther back in time. It is 1730. We are ordinary people, and we don't believe we are as good as our betters. Yes, we actually call some people betters. We even dress differently from the rich, fancy folk who call themselves gentry. They wear ruffles and silk, while we plain folk wear plain clothes. Slaves are just a part, the bottom part, of what is known as the common herd. Almost everyone, commoners as well as gentlefolk, seems to think that people are made differently from one another, that some are ordinary and some are extraordinary, that some are elegant and noble and others are simple and dull. Most of us who live in the 18th century believe that birth determines where you fit in the ladder of humans. Oh, a few people have never accepted that idea, but they are the kind who sometimes end up in jail or live frustrated lives. It is that very idea of aristocrat and peasant that will be blasted away on July 4th, 1776. Do you see why the earth will shake? In some European towns, laws actually prevent women and men of the upper classes from being friends with lower class people. Much of the world is like that. Poor people don't have a chance. These English colonies are like that too, but only partly. Many people have come here to escape those European ways. In America, the son of a Boston candle maker will become one of the wealthiest and most famous men in the land. That is what the momentous day in 1776 will be about. It will be about opportunity for all, and about equality, and about fairness. Americans will fight a revolution to make those things possible. But the most important part of the revolution will be in the minds and the hearts of the people. The revolution will change everything. Well, almost everything. No, it won't solve the awful problem of slavery, but it will unleash the idea that will end slavery, and that will bring women's rights, and children's rights, and all kinds of other rights. The idea is so daring that nothing like it has been heard in governments before. This is it. Ordinary people are as worthwhile and valuable and competent as anyone, even as worthwhile as kings and queens. Can you imagine it? No one is better than anyone else. That idea will transform the whole world. New ideas are already beginning to change us. This vast land has made us independent-minded. It has given us the opportunity to think for ourselves. For most of us plain people, there has never been any place like these English colonies. Can you guess what will happen when King George and the English Parliament decide to get bossy? We colonists will say, "No way," and "Goodbye, England." That's another part of the story for that most important of all days in American history. July 4th, 1776. Read on, good friends. We'll be traveling from colonies to country.